The story of One Piece has gotten so long that they've started retelling stories we've already seen. Except, have we seen this before? One Piece is a masterclass in storytelling and using its extensive world building and lore to its advantage, especially in the post-Wano era of the series. In fact, it's gotten so good at understanding its world that one scene can tell two completely different stories. What's up, y'all? My name is Leander Wei, aka Wei Sensei. I'm a storyboard artist with a degree in 3D animation, and I'm here to tell you how One Piece uses one scene to tell two different stories at the same time. You already know what scene I'm talking about, so here's the game plan. We're first going to set the scene and the context for it, then we'll dive into exactly what differentiates the scenes from a technical standpoint and why it's so effective. This is Deconstructing Anime. Spoilers for One Piece's Egghead Island arc. There's a quote attributed to Gustav Flaubert that goes around in today's debate economy that goes something like, "There is no truth, there is only perception." Now, you can debate the philosophy of that on your own time, but that is inherently true in filmmaking. The camera is hardly ever neutral. We are, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, following the story with a bias, most commonly through the lens of the protagonist. We see things the way they see things. If the protagonist is strong, we see them from a hero shot. If the protagonist is weak, we see them from a down shot. If the point of view character is disoriented, the camera is shaky or blurry, and if they're close or distant with another character, the camera makes sure to couple them together or isolate them in frame. Knowing that, which point of view character we're tracking, in other words, which character we're following, will determine exactly how we see the scene. Their perspective of the events will change how the audience is fed the truth. Now, it's no secret that Oda is probably the master of the tragic character flashback. Many of the characters in One Piece, particularly of the main cast, have been beneficiaries of this. The latest victim in the anime is Jewelry Bonnie, whose tragic backstory is the key to unlocking the masterful storytelling we'll be talking about today. In the present timeline, Bonnie has discovered a bubble created by the tyrant Bartholomew Kuma, containing his entire life in memories, left behind for his daughter, Bonnie, to find. Its discovery is the catalyst for the flashback through Kuma's long and tragic life. We learn that he was born in offense to the crime of existing, a running theme for the series, and soon became a slave, with only the hope of liberation keeping him afloat after his parents were murdered by celestial dragons. He soon would escape with the help of his future partner Ginny and future comrade, the revolutionary Emporio Ivankov, dedicating his life to taking away the suffering of the people he loved under the Church of Nika, his hero, the man who was said to free slaves with laughter. Much later, he would set sail, forced into piracy and labeled a tyrant, where he would encounter much of the events of One Piece we know to be the main story. Episode 1136 takes us through the escapades of the Straw Hat Pirates through Kuma's eyes, from Arlong Park, where Luffy gets his first bounty, to Enies Lobby, where the Straw Hats declare war on the world government. Kuma's memory then takes us to Thriller Bark, ours and the crew's first encounter with the tyrant Kuma. Except, seeing through the perspective of Kuma, we get a very different story than the one we were first acquainted with. In the main story, the crew is exhausted, having fought all out as a team against the evil warlord of the sea, Gecko Moria, in order to save the souls of the crew and the other innocents held hostage on the island ship. Having barely scraped out a victory, Kuma's sudden appearance instantly sours any semblance of a victory, as a larger, more inhuman threat makes itself known. A threat that the crew's best efforts seem to have hardly any effect on. From the crew's perspective, Kuma is an unfeeling, unstoppable barrier that by luck and sacrifice is averted. From Kuma's perspective, he has come to do a job and is surprised by the mettle that the Straw Hats show in defense of Luffy, his friend's son, who shows promise and somehow a feeling reminiscent to the exuberant joy of his childhood hero, Nika. Fast forward to Sabaody Archipelago, and Kuma is once again shocked by the actions of Luffy and the Straw Hats, astonished that they would go against the untouchable celestial dragons in order to protect a fishman, a race of people kept underfoot by humans for centuries. During his final day on Earth, Kuma once again sees hope for his dream of liberation to live on. And it's again in this kid from the backwaters of the East Blue. But before we dig deeper into the ramifications of this notorious scene, if you like what you see and want to hear more about the hidden techniques your favorite movies and shows use to make you feel feelings, or learn how to do this in your own stories, consider hitting that subscribe button and leaving a comment below to let YouTube know that you want to stick around for more of this kind of stuff from me. But back to the video. Why do I say all this? It's not just a summary, I promise. It's context. for the scene that inspired this video, the infamous showdown between Kuma and the Straw Hat Pirates. Still wounded from Thriller bark and in way over their heads, the main story shows the horrifying sequence that is Kuma disappearing the Straw Hats one by one. All of them powerless to fight back against the immeasurable strength of Kuma and the monsters of the New World that he represents. He is the barrier between their ambitions, their aspirations, their dreams, and he is the villain of their story, breaking up the crew before they can achieve their goals. That day on Sabaody Archipelago is a bone-chilling and haunting day for the Straw Hats and every One Piece fan as we watch Luffy break down, powerless to save even one of his friends. It's a harsh reminder that they aren't ready for the dangers that lie ahead, that stand in the way of their dreams. It's a message that Luffy needs to get stronger to defend the ones he loves. And yet, seeing this exact scene from Kuma's eyes, we now understand the full picture. Kuma, who had been following the exploits of Luffy from the beginning, saw hope in him. The same hope he had once placed in the stories of Nika passed down from his father in times of destitution and despair. As he disappears the Straw Hats one by one, he places his hope for the future in his daughter, and in Luffy's hands. His act of separating the Straw Hats, though devastating for them in the moment, is his way of placing his faith in and betting on the next generation to save the world. Putting the two together, we see exactly how the One Piece animators framed the same scene to drastically different results. Now, from Luffy's POV, he is small and weak, placed physically smaller in the foreground, while the overpowering Kuma looms large over him in the midground. From Kuma's point of view, though, we see Luffy not from his view of himself, but from Kuma's view of him. Not as a weak man who failed his mission and his friends, but through the legs of Kuma, framing Luffy as a fragile child that the fatherly Kuma feels obligated to protect. In the original version, we hear Kuma say to Luffy that they will never meet again. In Kuma's version of events, we hear his inner monologue, challenging Luffy's regret over not being able to save his friends. He challenges Luffy's perception of failure, lamenting the pain that he is causing Luffy, but silently warning him of the caliber of threat they face in the New World. In order to change this world, Luffy must be strong enough to face its most oppressive forces, and that is just something he isn't ready for. The difference in information that the audience gets in this line directly affects how we see this next shot. In the version where we don't hear Kuma's thoughts, Luffy's expression is one full of anger, sadness, resentment, hate. We see Luffy's perspective, a cornered animal with no hope of escape. In the version where we do hear Kuma's thoughts, Luffy's expression is instead one filled with desperation. We are seeing through the eyes of a caring father, seeing the devastation and fear of a defenseless child in over his head, scared of what will happen to him. The following shot cements this, as the original shows a pan up to emphasize the powerlessness of a failed boy playing captain, staying painfully on Luffy's face as he is eradicated, defiant and bitter till the very end. While Kuma's version shows him stoic, quietly hopeful that Luffy can turn his pain into fuel to change the broken world that Kuma has survived in for so long. Framed this way, Kuma's farewell to Luffy is reframed to be his final act of rebellion. As an individual, his will crying out to be carried on in Kuma's final moments of sentience. Even the final scene of Grove 4 shows the difference in intent between the two teams of artists. Luffy's version shows the archipelago small in the distance, shot at sunset with purple skies and deep, orange, turbulent waves to represent the end of the crew's hopes and dreams. Kuma's version shows the grove large, lit by bright rays of sunshine and happier, light yellow waves, representing the dawn of a new day, of a new age, and renewed hope. The same scene on paper transformed from one of fear and loss to one of hope and optimism. One Piece is all about inherited wills, about the cyclical nature of dreams. Kuma, a child who hoped and dreamed to be saved by his hero, grew up to become one himself, and in his last moments, saved the very boy who would become the hero Kuma had wished for all his life. Kuma's memories gave us the insight to see things from his perspective, to humanize him, and reveal his truth to us. Two perspectives, two entirely different stories. It's a gentle reminder for us to all see each other in the same way. But what are your thoughts on the scene? Did you think something was lost when Kuma's POV was explained? Did you like the added depth and nuance his perspective added? Are you someone who doesn't even watch One Piece? If I somehow convince you to check it out, you gotta let me know in the comments down below, along with everyone else who watched to the end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to follow me at WeiSensei on Instagram and TikTok for more analysis. And subscribe to hit the bell if you like what you saw today. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next time.